This is more about life in the time of the coronavirus epidemic. They are boarding up windows, evacuating office personnel, putting barricades in some streets, and calling in the National Guard. No, this is not for some coastal town on the Gulf in advance of a hurricane. This is in Louisville, Kentucky, in anticipation of a verdict from the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case. All of this is like an opera, where everything happens at a high pitch. Moderation is long gone, a casualty, I guess, of the coronavirus epidemic. If someone is creating an artwork based on the year 0 CE, I would suggest that you make it an opera. Politics gets more operatic seemingly every hour. The trumpet teases crowds about his pick for the Supreme Court nominee. The Senate, controlled by the Republicans, is ready to vote to approve or disapprove. And the Democrats seethe and threaten. They huff and they puff. It's a thoroughly nasty spectacle, one you might expect to see on a flashy cable TV or Netflix production, mostly over the top, operatic. And I believe I heard today that the death toll in America from COVID-19 has reached 200,000 people. That's awful. But if my math is correct, it's also less than 0.01% of the total population. I don't know what to say about that. I guess I'd like to know how many people have died from heart failure during that same time. Or cancer. They were ready for the announcement by the grand jury in Louisville, and when it did not come, I think the tension there increased. I don't think that they handled it very well. It's almost as if they were teasing. Teasing is an old news tactic to increase interest and ratings. But in Louisville, they are teasing people who are ready to riot and burn if they don't get what they want. And they're not going to get what they want, which is cops indicted for murder. That isn't going to happen. So all they've done is to tighten down the nuts on this clusterfuck. I say that with apologies to the children. Competition works. The competitive spirit or instinct brings out the best in us, pushes us past what we thought we could do. Competition is also what brings us to murder and to war. Duly noted. Today, Louisville had a deadline for the announcement of the verdict on the grand jury, and they kept it. One cop was indicted on 3 charges of wanton endangerment. They had to get somebody on something. But will it be enough? There is a 9 o'clock curfew for the next 3 nights. If it's any consolation, I think the wildfire and hurricanes have calmed down. But maybe there's a rhythm to all of this. One item grows quiet, another raises a squawk. I will note, if only for the purpose of continuity, which barely exists anymore, that the trumpet promised a big announcement, incredible, with regard to the coronavirus. And if he did say anything, I did not hear it. He does like to sound off. There was unrest, as they say, as if it was a bad night's sleep, in Louisville last night. I don't know the magnitude of it nor the feel of it. I do know that 2 police officers were shot, not fatally, and over 120 people were arrested. The police must be under some kind of a strict no-fire prescription. They can't afford another shooting. Who would want to be a cop on duty in Louisville tonight? It turns out that the incident that led to the death of Breonna Taylor, and this is not going to come as a surprise, was a gigantic mini clusterfuck. There was bad surveillance, incompetent investigation, a great deal of misinformation, and multiple misidentifications. And then the shooting started. Some of the bullets went through a wall and into another apartment. And it was those shots, that technicality, that led to the indictment of the cop who was fired right after all of this occurred. I heard a guy on the radio talking about this, and referring to the protesters, he said, "I'm not sure they fully understand all of the nuances in this case." That is easily the funniest thing I've heard in all of this. There should be some award or medal we could give to the guy. Once again, this is what he said. "I'm not sure they fully understand all of the nuances in this case." Pal, the year 0 CE is not a good time for nuance. We deal now with absolutes. Here, guilty, not guilty, just, unjust, black, white, yes, no, the trumpet or the pander man, shuffle and deal.